Simple approach to difficult question.
I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my YouTube channel and the website Global Math Institute. In this video, we have 3 questions for you based on function machines. You will be given input, you need to find the output. If output is given, you have to find the input and you have to relate the two with an algebraic expression. So those are the 3 questions which you have to do for each one of these examples. You get the idea. In case you want to learn from me, you can always send an email on the address given. All our students are doing extremely well, and some of them are right there on the top, getting the highest awards, like Akshat.
After attending university. The winner of this year's Certificate of Achievement Schulich Leader Award is Akshi Kandivani.
Great. Our student Akshat gets highest marks and the most prestigious Schulich Leader Award. You can be there. Join our classes and excel.
Now let us look into the details of solving one of these. So in this video, we'll discuss the solution of question number 1, where input is subtracted by 3 and then multiplied by 2 to get the output. So we'll find the equation, we'll have a table to fill in the values, and we'll take up some output to figure out what should be the input. So here is your question number 1, and let us see how do we work on this. So as you can see, we have an input from which 3 is to be subtracted and then multiplied by 2. The operation can be described as machine subtracts 3 and then multiply by 2. So whatever is the input, normally we'll consider input as x. So if x is the input, then the first operation performed will be x minus 3. That is, see, 3 is subtracted from the input, and then to this value, which is x minus 3, it is going to be multiplied by 2. So we don't normally write multiplication sign in between, since it confuses with x. So that becomes the output, which we'll consider as y. So we can write this operation as y equals to x minus 3 times 2. In words, you can describe this as machine subtracts 3 and then multiplies by 2. So that becomes the description of the operation performed by the machine. Now based on this, we have a table here. You have to complete this table, right? If 10 is the output, we have shown that 14. If 10 is the input, we have written 14 as the output. That is for you to check, correct? Let us check this out. So we are given that if 10 is the input, then 10 minus 3 will be what? Will be 7, correct? And then we multiply 7 by 2 and we get 14. So that is what is given to us here. If 10 is the input, 14 is the output. Perfect. Now you perform the same when 3 is the input. So let's change the color. And if 3 is the input, then what happens? You can always pause the video and answer this question, right? Let's continue. If 3 is input, we have to subtract 3 first. Doing that, we get 0. And multiplying 0 by 2 gives an output which should be what? Just 0, right? So that 0 we are going to write here to complete this row in the table. Now what we have, we are given the output is 2. We are given that the output is 2. We need to figure out the input. So this is the reverse operation. So we'll begin with 2 here. Now if I'm going in the reverse direction, in that case, all the operations will be reversed. So instead of multiplying by 2, what are we going to do? We are going to divide by 2. So 2 will be divided by 2, and that will give us 1. So 1, and so we're coming back in this direction. Minus 3 reverses plus 3. So we are going to add 3 to 1, and that gives you the input as 4. So we can write here 4 as the input when 2 was the output. You see that? You can check the result, right? So I like you to check the result. Well, if 4 is the input, minus 3 will give you 4 minus 3 as 1 times 2 is indeed 2. So that is correct. You get the idea. Now, if minus 2 is the input, then what happens? So let's figure that out. If minus 2 is the input, in that case, minus 2 minus 3 is going to give us more negative, minus 5. And then minus 5 doubled will give us minus 10. So output will be minus 10 in this particular case. Do you see how we have completed the table? Sometimes the input is given, you need to find the output. And if output is given, you need to find the input. Perfect. Now, part A actually was write output y in terms of input x. So x minus 3 times 2 is y. So we can say y equals to x minus 3 times 2. Sometimes you can simplify this. Multiplying by 2 and opening the bracket gives us 2x minus 6. So that could also be an expression which you can write for this particular operation. So with that, I hope you have understood how do we get output from this machine for the given input, and also how do we complete the table to find the inputs for the given output. Now based on this concept, we have two other questions for you. So this time we have an input, you need to square it, then take away 3 and then provide the output. Complete the table. First one is given to you. For example, 2 is the input, then what happens? Well, let's try it out. If 2 is the input and you square it, so what is 2 square? Means 2 times 2, which is 4. And then take away 3. 4 minus 3 is indeed 1, so the output is 1. That is what we have written here. So if 2 is the input, 1 is the output. Now you should calculate for 4 and minus 5 and then do reverse calculation when 33 is the output, right? So you have to figure out if output is 33, what should be the input, right? This is one thing. And then if input is minus 5, what should be the output? Also, for 4, what should be the output, correct? So I like you to pause the video, complete this table, and also write down what relates y with x, right? So you are squaring the number, then taking away 3. Perfect? Get the idea? Let me write this time for you. Y you get when the input is squared, that means x is squared, and then you take away 3. So that is how y is related. Perfect? Let's look into the third question for you, which is very important test question. Now in this particular case, we have an input which is squared and then square root to get the output. You get the idea. What should that be? You can complete this table, get the result. So here look at y is equal to input x which is squared and then square root this. So that is the relation to get the output. Now here The tricky part is to do reverse operation. So the tricky part here is when I give you an output, how do you get negative input? That is a challenge question, right? So this is a challenge question. So challenge question is how do you work with these two? That is, if I give you 16 as the output, what should be the input? That is what you have to work out, which is a challenge question. I'll say this is your test question. Okay, so let me rewrite. You have to get input X, and that is your test. Is it possible to get one solution? Is it possible to get two solutions? What is possible in this case? And of course, if minus 5 is the input, then what happens? That is also very interesting to figure out. Now, once again, in case you want to learn from me, you can always send an email on the address given. Feel free to share your views and suggestions. And if you like and subscribe to my videos, that will be great. Thanks for your time and all the best.